This week's astrology feels like a whirlpool. It feels like touring an old haunted mansion and going up staircases that lead to nothing besides more hallways and corridors that lead to nothing. It feels like breathing in the strong scent of chlorine and being transported to being in 7th grade on the swim team. It feels like being hit with a random emotion with as much intensity as a tidal wave, with no particular reason why. If it feels a little confusing and murky, then congratulations, my love. You have mastered the vibe of the astrology from June 16th to June 22nd. This week, we transition from Gemini season to Cancer season. So an air sign, which is all around logic and words and communication, to a water sign that is about the feeling of it, the waves of it, and the tides of it, and how the tides come in and out and our emotions wax and wane, and how things are constantly fluctuating and shifting moment to moment, minute to minute, oftentimes in very mysterious ways. This is a sign that plugs us into the emotional and energetic undercurrents that ripple through our experience here on planet Earth. And yes, it can be described, and that's exactly what we're doing today, is getting into the specifics using our language. But when it comes to astrology, as when it comes to most things, when we move into Cancer, to understand it is one thing, but to feel it is quite another. Adding to the mystery, mystical energy of our entrance into Cancer season, we also have smack dab in the middle of the week, Jupiter squaring Neptune. And Neptune as a planet is around dissolving boundaries. Do you know that experience when you go to look at the ocean and you just feel one with the waves? Or you listen to a song and you just feel yourself completely merge into it? Or you lose yourself in prayer or meditation and you forget where you stop and the divine begins? That is the nature of Neptune. But if you've also felt the sensation of being around a group of individuals who are a bad influence on you and feeling bad habits and bad vices drawn out of you just by you being around them, feeling suddenly unable to say no, if you have ever gone above and beyond to pour into a situation, sometimes to even the detriment of yourself, before recognizing, oh goodness, I'm being taken advantage of here. If you've ever gone to excess with procrastination or escapism, then you also know the nature of Neptune. Neptune can be an incredibly spiritual, enlightening, artistic influence, and it can be incredibly deceiving, disillusioning, and confusing influence that we have smack dab in the middle of the week. And so you could feel these Neptunian vibrations in big and small ways. Yes, in magical moments when you just merge completely into this art, into this beach day, into this conversation with someone that you hold dear. But you could also feel it in some very confusing ways around being unable to discern what is real and what is not. Being unable to even pick up on, why did my energy just change so profoundly? Like I was having a good day and then I just got hit with this random emotion. Where did that even come from? Or this random memory. There could even be energies where you go off to do something and then you feel yourself get distracted or your energy gets scattered. This could show up around feeling the fluctuations of your own faith and trust in something bigger than yourself. Around maybe you've had some obstacles as of late. We just had Jupiter squaring Saturn last week. Sun will square Saturn this weekend. So with Saturn energy, a lot of us can be dealing with some hard themes, both within our individual lives and then obviously on the collective plane as well. With Saturn energy, limitations, restrictions, things that suck within this experience. And there could also be oscillations around that, around in some moments, trusting the process or doing whatever you possibly can to make a difference or to improve the situation. And then in some moments, feeling utterly lost, feeling utterly useless, feeling utterly like, what's the point of even trying altogether? In some moments, feeling like this is a part of the journey. And then in other moments, being like, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel so profoundly lost. And so this week's astrology asks, what does it look like to allow these waves, whether these waves are of nostalgia, confusion, self-doubt, self-criticism, feeling disheartened by the state of the world, feeling disheartened by the state of your world, whatever the waves may be for you this week, what does it look like to allow them to pass through? To know that it's so much bigger than that particular moment, that particular wave. The entire ocean is not summarized to that particular wave, and the depth of that wave nor the crest of that wave. Things are constantly in motion. Things are constantly fluctuating and shifting. So what does it look like for you to allow these emotions to pass through, this confusion to pass through, these moments of feeling enlightened to pass through, honoring, like all things, this will pass. And so while the spirit of surrender is alive and required with this week's astrology, it is by no means implying that you should give up, that you should be complacent, that you should just choose to release the reins of your life and decide that you have no control over anything. Quite the contrary, my love. Mars enters Virgo on Tuesday. Finally, a new Mars energy. We've been rocking with Mars in Cancer, Mars in Leo since last fall because, of course, we had that Mars retrograde. So finally, Mars is entering a new sign, and Mars is our action. It's our assertion. It's our get stuff done planet, and it's moving into territory that gets stuff done. The sign of Virgo, which again, it's going to be such a delicate balance because Mars in Virgo wants to clean up the messes. It wants to fix the problems, which yes, I would encourage you and empower you to do just that. But you also need to acknowledge when something is out of your control. You need to show up for what it is that you can control, make a difference in the ways that you are able to, improve the problem in the ways that you are able to, but you will lose your mind trying to control it all or to fix it right away. And so we are navigating this balance around. It's not saying that you should descend too much into the Neptune and just be like, what's the point? I'm just going to escape into my own inner world and just procrastinate and run from my problems. But it's also not saying that you need to be running around and worrying and fretting over every little thing and trying to control the process, because that is a fruitless endeavor within itself. Again, we've got a Neptune square in the middle of the week. This is the planet that's around dissolving boundaries. This could be a time around not knowing our limits and overdoing it, overworking, overexerting ourselves until we are utterly burnt out and disillusioned. So it's going to be important to navigate the balance, to honor the changing tides of your emotions, of the energy, to take really good care of your body, of your soul, of your spirit. And a lot of times, especially with Mars and Virgo, that shows up within the little things. There may be a sense of powerlessness or feeling very disheartened over the big picture things of life, but do not allow that to sweep you away in such a way that you forget to show up for the little things. It may feel inconsequential in the bigger scheme of things, but that is what's going to keep you grounded, present, moving forward, making a difference, no matter how small of a wave that may feel like. So as always, my loves, we'll be diving deep into these celestial seas, tuning into both the thematic as well as the day-by-day analysis of this astrology. But before we do, take a step inside my Cosmic Cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. I am drinking a celery, cucumber, ginger, and apple juice that is absolutely divine, and it is working magic over here to reinvigorate my soul, to realign my body, to relieve this headache, which is the most magical of all. Truly, I've felt it subside more and more so since I had this juice. I don't know if there's a connection, but I swear this juice is healing my headache, which thank goodness I'm on hour 7 of this headache. And if you watch Magic Monday, you know that sometimes the circumstances of my filming Magic Monday are reflected within the week's astrology. And this week's astrology kind of feels like a headache within itself. I'm not putting it out there that we're all going to get headaches this week. I really hope not, but it kind of feels like that. We've got a lot of Mercury energy with us closing out Gemini season and Mars entering Virgo. These are the 2 Mercury ruled signs, so a lot of mental activity. We've got a Neptune square midweek, which sort of feels like that energy when you're just kind of like foggy and murky. When you have a headache, you're distracted, you can't think clearly. You're like, what do I even need right now? And also the sensitivity when you have a headache, where you're sensitive to light, you're sensitive to sound. Within our lives this week, it can show up that we're feeling more sensitive emotionally, we're feeling more sensitive energetically. And so there is an ask this week to really show up for the care and keeping of you. We have the sun entering Cancer this Friday, which does shift our focus to nurturing and nourishment, of course, of our children and our pets and our plants and our communities and the causes that we hold dear, but also knowing that we have to nourish ourselves in order to pour into all of these arenas of life. We also have Mars in Virgo, which Virgo is very much associated with mind-body connections. So listening to the cues of your body and seeking to give it what it needs, not always what it wants, but what it really needs. You know, the nutrients that it needs, the movement that it needs, the clean spaces that it needs. So today, what that looked like, again, I could have just kept lying down in the dark room, which I did allow myself to do for some time, trying to get this headache to pass. But at a certain point, I was like, okay, what's one thing that I can do to show up for my body? Maybe I need more hydration. So I got out all my juicing equipment and made this delightful juice, and it actually is really helping. So better this and filming than staying in the dark room, even though the dark room could be awfully tempting with Jupiter squaring Neptune. I also just want to take this moment, since we're all gathered here in the Cosmic Cafe, to thank you all so sincerely and so genuinely for your response to the new setup, to the new podcast. Just a reminder, in case you missed last week, Magic Monday is now a podcast, so available wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Now get your weekly cosmic cup of coffee on the go. So if you're working out, if you're grocery shopping, listen, Mars and Virgo, we're busy. We're doing stuff. Even if we feel out of control with the big picture things, we're showing up to run our errands. We are booking in at the DMV. We are doing our hot girl walks. We are booking in at the dentist. We are going grocery shopping and meal prepping. We're doing the small stuff. And now Magic Monday can join you as you're out and about being productive and being efficient and taking care of mind, body, and soul with Mars and Virgo. I just want to thank you all for all of the reviews that you have left. It truly means so much to me. If you wouldn't mind and you haven't got a chance yet, if you could review the podcast wherever it is that you listen, it helps me out so much. And you all also made me cry last week. Blame the Cancer energy, the cosmos, but I absolutely did cry reading the reviews because I just feel so grateful to have you all within this cosmic corner of the internet. Just feel so grateful to have connected with people who I've gotten to connect with, and for this weekly ritual to mean as much to you all as it does to me. It's truly the sweetest gift, and I would have never imagined when I started Magic Monday 5 years ago that it would have evolved into this beautiful space. And I genuinely mean it when I say you all bring the magic. I am just thankful to be the conduit here to express this astrology, but this community is what is magical about this space. And I just want to thank you for allowing my voice to be in your ears, my face to be on your screen, however it is that you consume this content. I just feel so grateful to be a part of your universe. And I just feel so grateful to have had the feedback, the constructive criticism, the hyping up that you all poured out last week. It really was overwhelming in the best way, where my heart just felt so full. There was just so much in me around just like so touched by your kindness. So thank you so much. More magic to come. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into vibe check of the week. Okay, we got the incense going because listen, when there's strong Neptune in the cosmos, you gotta be on it when it comes to your boundaries, with your cleansing of your energy. We're just all more emotional and energetic sponges. When we have strong Neptune in the cosmos, we also enter Cancer season, which of course feels all of the things. Just know, as I said, you might be the container that holds many different emotions and memories, and it's important to nurture yourself for which are yours, but also remember to protect your energy, because you could be picking up on energy that is not yours. So hopefully my incense is helping with the vibe, especially for vibe check of the week. So if you are new here, hi, welcome. Vibe Check of the Week is a segment that we do here where we compare all of the astrology that we will experience this week to a real life scenario. I'm not implying that this exact situation is going to play out within your world, but if you tune into the overall energetic emotion vibe of it, you may see that similar themes do surface within your universe. And this week's astrology feels like the following situation. Let's say that you are feeling overwhelmed with life. Maybe you have a really busy work schedule. Maybe you have a lot of family obligations. Maybe you're just feeling overwhelmed with the state of the world. Just all of the things feel like they're crashing on you, and you are just wanting to avoid and escape all of it. Listen, the pull of escapism, it can be very alive when we have a Neptune square. There could just be this desire to just stay in the dark room, like I was doing with my headache earlier, or something like this. And again, do what's important to nurture yourself. It's not saying that you need to figure it all out, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed, especially if you're feeling overburdened, especially if you're feeling burnt out, whatever it is. But it's also knowing that something is better than nothing. And even though it can feel like there's a lot that's out of your control, it's not forgetting to tune into what is in your control. So we'll say you're in the space where you're wanting to just avoid and escape all of it. And you have these big picture things that you cannot fix at this particular moment. And it's compounded by just the state of your house at this particular moment. You have so much clutter all around. Baseboards are filthy, your dishes need to be done. And you've honestly just been in such a haze and been feeling so overwhelmed and feeling so busy that you haven't even really noticed. It's like all of a sudden you sharpen into focus and you're like, this place is filthy. Like this home that encases me is filthy. Like, how did I let it get like this? And so even though everything within you just wants to just avoid the messy house, avoid the messy problems, avoid the messy world, right? You decide, no, I've got to clean my home. It's not that I'm going to fix everything with my life all at once, but at least my home, my domain is one thing that is in my control. And this can help within my state of being. There's such a direct connection to what is happening within your physical residence and what is happening within your soul. More on this later, but this is going to be important with Cancer season. And so you decide that you are going to clean up, but it's like the more that you clean up, the more of a process it becomes. You know, you're like, okay, I have this day, I'll maybe clean for 4 hours. It should take 4 hours. But then all of a sudden you go to put some of your silverware away and the silverware organizer thing is filthy. And you're like, well, I need to clean this. You keep getting on these side quests that are, of course, all productive. Like it is helping with cleaning, but you're organizing your candles, you're detangling jewelry, you're getting pulled by all of these side quests. And because of that, it feels like the state of the house is getting messier rather than cleaner, because now you got all the silverware on the counter as you clean the organizer. You have this lump of jewelry that somehow all got so tangled in loops that you would not even been able to do if you tried. So, random aside, but I just need to say, how does jewelry get so tangled like that? Like, truly, it's not moving. Like, how does that happen? If it's just like in a jewelry box or you're traveling somewhere, I'll never understand how all of my necklaces and bracelets always get so tangled. I could never even try to get them in the complicated loops that they end up getting in. Anyways, that's just a random aside. That lump of tangled necklaces and bracelets is on the vanity. You took out everything from the closets, you wanted to reorganize that. You're looking at one of the walls within your bedroom and you're like, you know, I really should touch up the paint here. Where's that paint again? So then you take the paint out and it just feels like things are getting messier more than they're getting cleaner. And you're feeling actually quite drained. This has taken much longer than you would imagine. And you feel really disheartened. You're like, did I even do anything? Did I even fix anything? And so you lay down for some time, you listen to your body because you are feeling drained, you are feeling exhausted. It's like you started all of these projects and it just feels like the more projects you're starting, the more you're noticing needs to be fixed and repaired and cleaned. And every part of you just wants to give up and just go back into the dark room, so to speak, or just go back into escaping and avoiding and not dealing with any of the problems around the state of your home. But after you nurture yourself, you give yourself a beat, you take a nap, you eat a snack, you keep going. You handle one thing at a time. You finally get all of the jewelry detangled. You get the organizer back and you organize all of the silverware and it looks so great. You get everything back in the closet. Slowly and surely you are making progress. And slowly and surely your home is feeling like a more nourishing place to be. And somehow those outer arenas of your life that, yes, some of them still feel so overwhelming, it doesn't feel as crushing. It doesn't feel as soul wrenching. The issues within your own personal life don't feel as dire because there's this energy around feeling more grounded within your residence. The state of your home has such an effect on your energy. Like I said, with a Neptune square midweek, we're more sensitive. We are more impacted by the sight of clutter, by the sight of mess than we realize. And if you are feeling very stagnant in life, you're feeling very lost, you're feeling very out of control, sometimes just dialing into what is in your control, your home, or if you share it with other people, your room, your living space, sometimes dialing that in, cleaning, organizing, refreshing. It does not solve all of your problems, but it can really help rejuvenate your soul space so you're in the right state in order to solve some problems or to help out here or to do this. Things contain energy, and sometimes having a cluttered home can clutter our energy. Having a messy home can show up around feeling a little bit murkier energetically. It's not saying that this deep clean completely fixes your life, but again, it's a step in the right direction. And on this journey of cleaning, you keep getting pulled away by side quests, right? The silverware organizer and the jewelry on the jewelry tree and the closet. But you also find so many nostalgic albums. You're being pulled by photo albums and you're reminiscing and you're reading old diaries that you're finding from yourself and you're contemplating these parts of your journey and these reflections, these time capsules from prior versions of self. And some of these reflections are beautiful, full circle, looking at photos that make you smile and finding mementos and maybe sending photos of some of the silly memorabilia that you're finding to the friends and family who you shared these memories with. But some things are a little bit more bittersweet, seeing a craft that somebody made you who's no longer in your life, or reading the diary entry of the ex that you were madly in love with who broke up with you recently. It's like sometimes walking down memory lane is bittersweet. And most certainly with Cancer season, there is more of a nostalgic energy that is peppering into the cosmos and into our souls and into our minds. And these side quests can be helpful sometimes, particularly as it relates to perspective. Sometimes it can help you to reread old diaries just to see how far you've come and to revisit these relics of an earlier time, to reminisce on how far you've come, on the prior versions of self and how they're still alive within you or how you've evolved from those sides of self. But it is important at a certain point to close the memory box and get back to work, right? Cleaning the house. We don't want to put too much of our energy around going back through all of the memorabilia. And by the end of this journey of deep cleaning your home, you are spent, right? You are exhausted. It took so much more time than you would imagine. You cried a couple of times at some of the things that you found. You were able to sweep away clutter and things that you're not taking with you into the new season. We do have a solstice this week. But you feel lighter, fresher, more spiritually renewed. It genuinely helps you build confidence, showing up for those small arenas of life where now when you go to make your breakfast and you see that the silverware is all clean, these small micro interactions within our daily reality have ripple effects where sometimes just having clean silverware inspires you to want to eat healthier food with said silverware. Sometimes feeling properly nourished can inspire you to take that workout class or go on that long walk. And sometimes taking that workout class and going that long walk helps build your confidence where you're more inclined to put yourself out there for this opportunity or try to get involved with this organization. Small steps lead to big leaps. And there's such an ask this week to embrace the small things that you could do today that tomorrow you will be thankful for. When you open up the silverware drawer and it's like, thank you, yesterday me, for organizing the silverware, or when you go to put on a necklace. Thank you yesterday, me, for organizing this. We will, of course, get into it as we always do. I just want to remind you, I'm located in California. So I utilize the time zone PDT when I give you your forecast every week. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology for Monday, June 16th. So Monday's forecast, June 16th. I want to let you know that we are fresh off the heels of two pretty intense energies that exacted yesterday. So make sure to listen to last week's Magic Monday if you did not get the lowdown on Jupiter square Saturn and Mars square Uranus, because both of those energies are very much still alive. And it's a little explosive. It's a little rambunctious. It's a little spiky. It's a little spicy and a little spiky. And Uranus square Mars is very erratic. It's very unpredictable. It's very all over the place. So your own personal energy could feel scattered. You could feel quick to anger, quick to feel frustrated. Something small happens and you react in a way that feels unwarranted for the situation itself, but maybe it's been building and it's just the final piece that makes that dynamite explode and you go off, or you have an outburst, or you have a meltdown. There can be an energy where more people are more inclined for conflict, like you can experience more road rage, or people at work trying to fight with you. There could be more petty disputes around ego. Mars at the anaretic degree of Leo squaring Uranus in Taurus. People going above and beyond to try to prove a point in order to affirm their fragile egos of some sort. There just could be an energy where people could have you all sorts of effed up today. And even if you're not experiencing in terms of conflict, you could just feel like you want to run away from your life, right? That's a real temptation earlier this week with Mars squaring Uranus and Jupiter square Neptune. I want to stay in the dark room. I want to run away and start a new life. Like sometimes Uranus square Mars, we just feel restless. We just want to jump out of our skin. And with Jupiter square Saturn, we could feel like our belief in the goodness of humanity is wearing thin at this time. Like, believe me when I say Jupiter in Cancer will be nourishing. It will be soulful. It will be intuitively inspiring. And I do have an all signs forecast on that. It's available below. And I take you through where Jupiter in Cancer is blessing each of the signs based on where it is activating within your chart. So make sure to check that out. It will be beneficial, but you may not feel that right now just because Jupiter in Cancer is getting such a weird entrance to its journey. So give it some time to really feel the blessings of Jupiter in Cancer, because right now with the square to Saturn, there could be hardships, challenges, restrictions, crisis of faith type energy, or feeling more blocked from faith, or maybe feeling more blocked or limited from being able to pour into what it is that you really care about, or in order to feel safe and secure. You could feel a bit disheartened is really the word that comes up. You within your life, you could feel like you aren't feeling very free. Jupiter is our ability to feel free. And like with the energy of Saturn, it's like life could feel like it's cramping your style. You're feeling cramped, whether it's by responsibilities or restrictions. Things could feel a little uncomfortable at this time being. And there's more to play out. With Jupiter square Neptune this week, not all is how it seems. And that's why with the Uranus square Mars energy, it's important not to make an impulsive reaction or an impulsive decision, because there might be more that needs to come to the surface or more to be discovered. And like I was saying within the intro, we're transitioning into Cancer season later on this week. Things are constantly fluctuating. We should not grab hold of any particular emotion or feeling and think this is it. Like seek to grab a droplet of water within the ocean and think this is it, because things are constantly moving. And sometimes we're just picking up on different emotions and vibrations and energy. And it's not to say that that's not valuable data, but especially with Jupiter square Neptune, it's like things may feel a little murky right now. There might be more information that needs to rise. And so that energy is like an undercurrent alive within your Monday. We start the day with an Aquarius moon trining the Gemini sun. We're in the waning gibbous moon phase as we recuperate and recover from last week's Sagittarius full moon, which PS, let me know how that was for you. And this is a lunar phase that is around connection and collaborating, like remembering we all are in this together, or to tune into the groups, the organizations, the friendships that give you strength. That could be healing. The Aquarius moon sextiles Chiron. Then the Aquarius moon activates that Mars-Uranus square. So we have a fixed T-square landing between the hours of like 9 to 11 a.m. PDT on Mondays. So the moon squares Uranus at 9:18, and then the moon opposes Mars at 10:31 a.m., at which point the moon is void. And with that, you could just feel very quick to anger, very quick to react. You could feel kind of salty. You could feel like people have you messed up. You could feel frustrated. This could also just be an energy around, for a lot of people, it's Monday morning. And for a lot of people could be going to work and there could just be like, I don't wanna type of energy. And the moon entering Pisces at 11:09 does not particularly help with matters because the energy of the Pisces moon is dissolving into the eternal and the ethereal. And keep in mind, I use traditional rulership. So the ruler of the Pisces moon is Jupiter, who's squaring off with Saturn and squaring Neptune. So there's like an acknowledgement of what's harsh and or mellow, so to speak, with Jupiter squaring Saturn, right? Reality, restriction, time, deadlines, whatever that may be. And also this desire to want to escape or run from it with the square to Neptune as well. And so even though the moon's answering to Jupiter and Jupiter's a little lost in the sauce right now, caught between the planet of reality and the planet of fantasy, the Pisces moon does trine Jupiter at 2 p.m. So we are more sensitive with the Pisces moon, but we tend to associate that word just with sadness and melancholy and resentment or whatever else negative emotion. But it's also knowing that the more we can really hold ourselves within the container of sadness as it surfaces, or despair as it surfaces, or melancholy as it surfaces, the more that we can be the container that holds that, the more deeply we can also hold joy as that surfaces and gratitude as that surfaces. We really cannot have one without the other. The lows are what make the highs so sweet. And so it's just honoring where it is that you are within that. With Jupiter in Cancer, this is going to expand our emotions. You can find that it's a very sensitive summer. And I don't mean that you're going to be crying all summer, but it's like when I think of Jupiter in Cancer, I think of a happy cry. I think of a happy cry when I think of Jupiter in Cancer. I think of my bursting into tears last week when my mom sent me a photo of my nephew who was just born last week on 6/12, and just instantaneously just like tears sprung to my eyes because I was just like so overwhelmed in a good way with how I love this baby that I haven't even met yet. Love my new nephew. Or the moment when you see a sunset that's just so stunning that it makes you cry and you're not sure why you're crying, but you just are. It's so beautiful. Or when you read an old journal entry from a really hard time of your life and you cry because you're so glad you're not there anymore. It's all of the emotions. It's the entire spectrum. So it's not just saying expanding our emotions of sadness or what have you. It's like everything. It's knowing that the lows fortify the highs. We can't have one without the other. Lunar energy, it waxes and it wanes. There's new moons and there's full moons. There's a phase for everything. There's an emotion for everything. There's an ask to really be the container to hold what is moving through. On Tuesday, the Gemini sun will sextile Chiron in Aries just after midnight. So this is a wave of energy that you absolutely could have felt yesterday. You can absolutely feel continue on today. And it really is just around the healing of your own identity, your ego. Like I said, with Mars at the anaretic degree of Leo, sometimes there's an energy around feeling like we need to go to battle to prove ourselves or to affirm our own egos. And the energy of Gemini sun, sextile Chiron, it could be an energy around recognizing that it doesn't matter in the greater scheme of things. Like it does not matter. Like Jupiter in Cancer, plug into what matters, dim out the noise of what does not matter. And sometimes that means your ego taking a hit, right? Feeling like a little bit of a loser because you did not go to the ends of the earth to prove yourself, to prove your point right in debate class, or allowing someone to comment a hate comment because you're just like, I don't really care what you have to say about me. Like, I know who it is that I am. Again, not every battle is worth waging, especially if it's to defend your ego. Because at the end of the day, no one can tell you who you are. Like, really, no one can tell you who you are. And it's also just acknowledging with the Gemini Sun and Chiron and Aries, you're a work in progress. You're constantly learning and evolving. And parts of the journey of learning and evolving is acknowledging I have flaws, I have deficiencies, I'm not perfect here and there. And that's okay. I'm constantly striving to get better, to be kinder than I was the day prior, to be more present than I was the day prior, to be more forgiving than I was the day prior. Whatever your goals are, it's acknowledging and being teachable within that journey. And it's releasing this need to feel like you need to know it all or have it all figured out. Because oftentimes that actually keeps us in the way of making genuine improvements. Because improvement is the name of the game from Tuesday onward, because at 1:35 a.m. Mars enters Virgo. There is this desire to improve, to fix, to solve, to dial in, to accomplish. And this is going to be helpful around anything that you've been putting off, just the pesky annoyances of life that can feel inconsequential, particularly if there's other things going on, right? It can feel like, does it even matter if I go to the dentist? Does it even matter if I go to the gym? Does it even matter if I eat dinner tonight? But these things matter because you matter. Like these small things that we do that make such a massive impact on our energy. That's the thing. At the end of the day, our energy is our currency. So it's beyond the actual thing. It's beyond the silverware organizer. It's beyond the jewelry on the tree. It's beyond these things. It's how they make us feel. Even just these micro ways that we interact with our reality by way of our routines. It's contemplating the energetic imprint that it leaves on your soul, where you may not recognize how much a cluttered, dirty room or having belongings that don't work correctly, you may not acknowledge the effect that that has on your energy, where you just feel a little bit more distracted, your head feels a little bit more fuzzy, and you carry that into every arena of your life. Your energy will tell on you. And these things impact your energy. Having a cluttered, dirty home impacts your energy. Having a cluttered mind impacts your energy. Having a cluttered computer impacts your energy. If you feel like there's no room, like your life is busting at the seams, your email inbox is full, your belongings are full, like that is going to imprint on your soul and you're going to feel overwhelmed. And you may think, well, there's so much happening with my life. I could not possibly prioritize cleaning up my computer and cleaning up my home. My love, it will help. Because that is impacting your energy, and your energy is what solves the problems. Sometimes we seek to just go after the problem, which again, with Mars and Virgo, solve the problem, do the things, okay? Book the dentist appointment, listen, do the things for sure. But sometimes we seek to solve the problem without acknowledging that our energy is not in a space to genuinely solve that problem, that we are just going to bring a cluttered, messy mind into a cluttered, messy situation and probably feel more cluttered and messy and overwhelmed. Sometimes the best thing, especially if you can feel, I feel scattered, I feel overwhelmed, this feels beyond me. Sometimes the best thing that you could do is around, okay, how can I get my energy in the right place to figure this out, to solve this, to do one thing to make this problem a little bit better or to make it a little bit easier for tomorrow me, even if I cannot solve the whole thing overnight. Because listen, there's a reason why in the vibe check, this deep cleaning home situation, it took time. We got to be patient, okay? With Saturn squares, we got to be patient. We got to acknowledge our own fluctuations of our energy, but we do have to keep going. That's why I work out. Honestly, because working out for me is energy glow up. There have been so many times I go into a fitness class and I am not feeling it. I am not feeling it. I am in a bad mood. The other day I was at a fitness class and I was in such a bad mood. It was just like a day, you know what I mean? And the first song that they played in the fitness class, and I'm so sorry if this is anyone's favorite song, I don't know why it got under my skin so much, but the first song when starting Pilates class was, "Where do the good boys go to hide away, hide away." I don't know why that song triggers me. I don't know why that song triggers me. I wanted to leave that class. That's like how bad of a mood I was in. Is I was like, really? That was like my final straw. It was already a bad day. And I was like, really? Where do the good boys go to hide away? Like, I'm so sorry if anyone loves that song. I don't know why it triggers me so much. just didn't resonate with my soul, with my spirit, and I was already in a bad mood. But by the end of that class and the movement and the breathing and the just getting that out of my system, I walked out that studio glowing. Like I felt like I was floating out of that studio, and nothing had really changed. Nothing was fixed yet. Now I was in the energy where I was able to fix my problems. All I did was I moved and I breathed and I did something that was good for me, that I knew was going to help realign my vibration. I do feel like Mars in Virgo is going to be helpful for anyone who has wanted to get into exercise, get into fitness, start taking classes, start going on long walks. I'm telling you, it is an hour that you give to yourself where you daily remind yourself that you are worthy of prioritization, you are worthy of feeling good, and so much within your outer world shifts from that space. And working out may not be for everyone, and that also could look different person to person. But I do feel like something that connects you into your physical body is important because we're closing out Gemini season, a Mercury ruled sign. We have Mars in a Mercury ruled sign. Mercury is mine. So all of the thoughts, all of the overthinking potentially, all of the headache energy, and sometimes connecting to our body via nutrition and movement and breath can be very helpful in mitigating Mercury energy. And the moon's in Pisces all day long. So honor your intuition, honor your emotions, honor that you are a conduit for universe FM, okay? And plugging into those stirrings, what it is that you feel pulled towards or guided towards can be incredibly powerful at this time. And it's validating that, tomorrow Jupiter squares Neptune. And because these are two slow moving planets, we feel this throughout the entirety of the week, even though it exacts tomorrow. But with us being so on the precipice of this, sometimes that universe FM, it comes in a little jarbled, it comes in a little staticky, where we're not always able to tune in or to understand sometimes what it is that we receive. We are all intuitive. We are all intuitive. Everybody is plugged into the divine. It's just really how it is that you continue to sharpen into that frequency and listen and trust it also, not gaslighting yourself with the square to Neptune. And I say that in a way around always stay grounded, right? With Mars and Virgo, remember to ground into your body, take care of nutrition, move. Like that's what helps us be the best conduit possible, is taking care of our vessel. Like truly, I'm a believer of that. Like to me, I'm not able to download or channel unless I'm a clear channel. And the only way I'm a clear channel is if I'm taking care of my body, moving, eating, juicing, all of the things. But when it comes to tuning in, you have to also build that muscle of trust. And there will be so many real life examples that affirm that to you. It is wild sometimes when you think of someone randomly, you haven't thought of them for years, and then you go to your phone and they just texted you. Or you think of a restaurant that you want to go to with your friend, and then at lunch break, you see that your friend sent you a reel from that exact restaurant saying, we should go, they have a great happy hour. These examples that show we're all plugged into something, but do you trust it? Do you just brush those experiences off around, oh, it's just a coincidence? Do you trust it? Because sometimes you could pick up on somebody else's energy and you're recognizing that it's not yours. And so sometimes even just like tuning into what you're picking up on in order to figure out what is my radio station and what is not mine. Because sometimes if someone owes you an apology and they're like brewing and stewing about it, you'll be like, why can't I not get this person out of my head? They're like typing a message and backspacing, and you just like keep feeling yourself pulled in that direction. And again, I say this in the most grounded way possible. I'm not saying that if you can't stop thinking about Pedro Pascal, he's there thinking about you. I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe someone out there, Pedro Pascal, is just thinking a lot about you. I'm not saying that in an ungrounded sort of way. I just really would encourage you to get really good at picking up on what is yours and what's not yours. Because with Neptune energy, it's very murky, where sometimes we can like be feeling into emotions that are not ours, or feeling pulled in certain directions that's like not organically coming from us. And the best way to kind of get through the yuck or tune into what radio station you want to tune into loud and clear and which one you want to dim out. The best way to do that is cleansing your energy. Like I said, your physical body could be helpful with Mars and Virgo, as well as incense or anything else that kind of like cleanses you and resets you. Even just affirming, if you get hit by a random wave of emotion or someone that is not actively within your world, nor you want to give energetic consent to, just feels like they're pulling on your energy. Picture yourself just coated in white light and just affirm, my energy is mine. I have dominion over my energy. I have sovereignty over my energy, and I release all that is not mine. And sometimes you'll feel that emotion randomly subsides, or you could actually focus without feeling so pulled in this person's direction. You know, it's a delicate balance, but if you feel yourself constantly being distracted or like overwhelmed by emotions, it's worth it to kind of go through the sludge around what is mine and what is other people's that they're sending my way. And it helps to really get to know your energy, because then you'll know that it is not yours. And I say this just because we can feel like things are very random or coincidental, that this person came into our mind and then they texted us, or we got this idea and then somebody else had the same idea. Like, we can feel like that's all the coincidence, but I would just encourage you to tune into when that occurs, because it can help trust yourself as a conduit and contemplate, this person jumped in my mind, or this idea. It helps you trust yourself when you acknowledge that you are picking up on something, that you're not crazy. It's not coming out of nowhere. It's acknowledging what's yours and what your role in the situation is. Very relevant with Mars and Virgo. Like, are you putting a lot of energy towards Pedro Pascal? Is that why you can't stop thinking about this person? But it's also acknowledging like, that's random that this person popped in my mind, or that's an inspired idea, or this song just randomly started playing in my mind. It's tuning into it. It's grabbing hold of it. It's sharpening that into focus. It's trusting yourself as a conduit. And I would really honor what feels good, especially in the morning time. The Pisces moon sextiles Venus and Taurus. So making a delicious breakfast that feels good, or booking in for a movement class that feels good, or looking good. Listen, with the energy of Pisces moon, allow yourself to feel into the vibe of what you want to set for the day around, do I want to be more mysterious? Do I want to be more sultry? Do I want to be more mystical? And step into that. This can be such a powerful tool. It's like intention setting by way of your fashion, by way of your makeup. And at 5 p.m., the Pisces moon will trine Mercury in Cancer. So this could signal having more emotional, heartfelt, soulful, even vulnerable conversations with others, allowing your soul to be spilled, so to speak. Or you could be spilling your soul to yourself, journaling, writing, reflecting. Like I said, in the vibe check, you had many a side quest on this journey of reading old diaries. You know, I do think there is something so incredibly powerful about reading old journals in many different ways. One being, sometimes it helps you remember what it is that you've overcame, and that can help you source the strength for what it is that you're currently navigating around. Oh my gosh, I don't know how I got through that. And sometimes it helps bring things into perspective, because sometimes the things that you were crashing out about in like 2017, you're like, who? I found an old journal of mine, and there was all of this poetry, this heartbroken poetry that I cannot for the life of me. I'm like, who is this about? Like, girl, what? The way that I was like down bad off someone that I have no clue. I had an idea, but then in one of the poems, I mentioned the color of their eyes. And I was like, wait, that's not what I thought this was about. Who am I crashing out about? Who was that? I don't even know. That kind of helped me get some perspective. Not that my life looks similar to that at this moment, but help me get perspective around, you know, what I could be crashing out about now. I could look at in the future and be like, girl, who? That perspective can also be helpful. It can be a helpful perspective to cheerlead how far you've come, or how it is that you've built a life that prior you would be so grateful for, how it is that you have been a strong individual who's overcame so much and you'll continue to overcome so much. But it also helps you to remind yourself around, you know, what can feel devastating, soul ruining, life ending at the moment, just be a dated diary entry at one point in time. Sometimes that perspective can also be helpful. On Wednesday around noon, we have the last quarter Gemini moon. So this calls back last week's Sagittarius full moon, and you could be feeling a little bit of those kind of chaotic, all over the place energies alive at this point in time as well. And when it comes to the last quarter moon in Gemini, the Gemini sun knows and the Pisces moon feels. Gemini sun is enticed by logic, and the Pisces moon is enticed by the information that we're plugged into that we can't always pin down. We can't always describe. We can't always calculate, in a sense. And so there can be a clash around what in your life makes sense and what feels right. There could be like a practical struggle around focus. You could be distracted by conversing with other individuals, or like distracted by being in your own world and having to like pull yourself out around, okay, be here now, be here now. And also on Wednesday at around 8 p.m., Jupiter in Cancer will square Neptune in Aries. And when we think of both these planets, if I were to think I had a dinner party with all of the planets, which I wish I could do that, that would be so fun. But if I were to have a dinner party with all of the planets and they were all dinner guests, I would probably see Jupiter and Neptune next to each other. Obviously, they're not literally located next to each other in the cosmos, but I would think that those two planets would get along. You know, they're both considered rulers of Pisces, Neptune, the modern ruler, Jupiter, the traditional ruler, and they're both concerned with a lot of the same matters. Things that cannot be quantified, things that cannot be calculated, themes such as spirituality and faith and enlightenment. They definitely have their differences, but they are somewhat on the same wavelength. But with this square, there could be this oscillation of faith, firstly, moments where you're like, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I am so aligned. Everything's been divinely orchestrated for me to be here. And the next moment being like, what is happening? My life feels like a disaster. I feel so lost. I feel so confused. And where it is that we can allow those fluctuations, where it is that we can embrace where we feel lost, where life feels messy at this particular moment. Just honoring it's just that, a particular moment, a droplet in the ocean, a moment of time in the wave, and where it is that we can honor that oscillation. And to know that sometimes things have to get messier before it gets cleaner. Like within the vibe check of the week, the house felt like it was getting dirtier. It's an illusion, right? You took the stuff out of the closet in order to clear the clutter. You took the jewelry clump out in order to reclaim your jewelry by untangling it. You put the silverware out in order to clean up. If you just take it in at the particular moment of the sight of everything out, you would think, oh, it's a mess and my life is a disaster. But it's like, no, this is a part of the process. Sometimes things have to get messier before they get cleaner. Sometimes we have to feel a little bit more lost in order for us to find our way. Sometimes things have to get a little bit worse for them to get better. Not all is what it seems, is what I want to say with a square to Neptune. And it's important not to freak out that you feel lost at this particular moment. There might be more information that needs to be revealed on something. Sometimes Neptune energy could be mysterious. And even for our lives and our souls, we could just feel more sensitive. Like I said about Neptune, it dissolves the boundaries and the barriers between us and others, which can be a very empathetic energy, like really feeling deeply for others. And this is a beautiful, beautiful quality, but this can sometimes make it hard to figure out where we start and other things begin. And again, within that murkiness, sometimes we're not taking care of ourselves. We're not eating. We're not cleaning. We're not doing things to strive to get our energy into the best place possible so that we can make a difference, so that we can show up. Even if it shows up in small ways today, that could show up in big ways tomorrow. But step number one is ensuring that you are pouring out from a full space yourself and really be intentional around what you are picking up on, what you are allowing into your space. Remember that your energy is yours. Your energy is yours. My energy is mine. Yours is yours. And if you feel something or someone infiltrating your energy without your consent, affirm that. My energy is my own. I have sovereignty over my energy. I have dominion over my energy. Affirm that. Because sometimes with Neptune energy, we just aren't aware, because so much of life is murky and beneath the surface. We aren't aware where other people could be infiltrating us, or even where we are not cleansing ourselves, where you are waking up and reading a bunch of headlines and going off on your day. Like, take that moment to cleanse your energy. Like, that's a lot of data for us to take in, a lot of emotions for us to take in, a lot of opinions for us to take in. and then just going on to the rest of our lives and wondering why we feel so overwhelmed and burnt out. And I hope you can hear my heart when I'm saying, like, we should care with Mars and Virgo, with where we are able to show up. We should show up, even if that looks small, even if you're like, Haley Comet feels like I'm not making a difference. Even just doing something small that is a step in the right direction is impactful. But you're not going to be able to do that if you feel filled to the brim with emotions and overwhelm and information and opinions. You're just not going to be in that space where you're able to really be conducive for any good whatsoever to yourself and to the world at large. So drop in to your energy, really affirm what you are maintaining and allowing within your energy. And with this happening and that last quarter moon that we were talking about, there just could be a lot going on. Yes, mentally, information, news, but also Pisces moon, feeling the gravity of the emotions of it and just feeling your energy bounced around like a ping pong ball, which is just not always the most productive state to be in, especially since. So the last quarter moon lands around noon, as I highlighted. It sextiles Uranus at 2:34 p.m. The moon is then void until it enters Aries, which is energetic, which is open for a challenge, which is a go-getting energy. But the Aries moon aligns with Saturn, so we could feel a little bit defeated. You know, when you try to do something and it doesn't work out, like you start on the jewelry process of untangling all of the jewelry and you imagine like, oh, this should only take, 20 minutes, and then you're in it and the novelty of untangling it has faded and now you're just left with the annoyance of it. It's like, really? And again, focus could be a problem because also around 7:46 p.m., the moon squares Jupiter and aligns with Neptune. So basically activating that Jupiter-Neptune square that's landing Wednesday evening as well. And that could be the energy around you're in the thick of untangling the necklace and then you feel your energy pulled in a different direction, or you get distracted or even overwhelmed, right? with this energy. And I think the nudge is rest, don't give up. Acknowledge what is in your control and surrender what is not in your control. But especially with the ruler of the Aries moon being Mars and Virgo, see where it is you can continue building that momentum, even if it's small actions. Small actions can lead to big results and big transformation at that, because just before 10 p.m., the Aries moon will sextile Pluto in Aquarius. On Thursday, the moon is in Aries all day long. The closing aspect last night was a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius, which you could absolutely feel on Thursday as well, which is reminding yourself of the resilience of human spirit, where sometimes we hit a wall, we hit a dead end, we hit something that is disheartening, but we can always try again. We can always begin again. We can always start again. And with the energy of Aries moon sextile Pluto in Aquarius, it's empowering to remember the times that you kept going or that you endured, where it might have been easier to give up, but you continue to show up. And, as you read the old journals or what have you, and reminiscing on these last seasons of life, and it's remembering what you've bounced back from, what you've overcame. If I could bounce back from whatever green-eyed person had me down so atrociously that I was writing poetry in my hedgehog journal, you could come back. I'm just kidding. That's obviously so minor, but it's just remembering the battles that you have waged and maybe the ones that you've lost, absolutely, but you continued to get up. You continued to keep going. And Aries moon, knowing that you did that, you conjured the strength to keep going, to keep showing up, to reinvent yourself, to try again, to show up again. Like, you never really lose if you keep going, if you don't give up on yourself. Like, that's the biggest thing, where yes, sometimes some battles are not worth waging because your peace is priceless. Now Mars is in Virgo. So it's like, is this the best use of my time and energy? Sometimes there's certain things where it's not necessarily giving up, but it's just like this energy of surrendering around, I did all that I can do. This is not the smartest use of my energy. I'm going to put it towards what is. But it's ultimately, even if the different outlets change, it's this overall vibe of still fighting for you and the life that you deserve. It's knowing that you are in charge of you. There's a lot of things we don't have control over. And what's one thing that you can do for you today to help out tomorrow you? One thing you could do today in order to feel more empowered within your current situation. I also want to highlight we are in the final day of Gemini season. So there could be a lot of talk, a lot of communication, a lot of activity, a lot of mental chatter, just a lot going on currently. And we are in the waning crescent moon phase, and tomorrow we shift into Cancer season. You may feel more inclined to come inward. You may be craving a little bit of solitude or wanting to release things. You know, as you're deep cleaning, you're letting go of clutter. When it comes to the waning crescent moon, there is this focus around, what do I need to release and shed? What is no longer serving me? How can I believe, with the closing aspect the night before, being the Aries moon sextile Pluto in Aquarius, how can I believe in the power of regeneration? And also just knowing you may feel like the world is noisy right now. The sun's at the anaretic degree of Gemini. The moon is building to square Mercury early on Friday. So you might feel that on Thursday as well. Just all the thoughts feeling pulled in different directions, a battle of the head and the heart. And sometimes when the outer world gets really noisy, that's when it's time to go within. So if you are feeling a little overwhelmed, you may feel more inclined to come inward. On Friday, June 20th, today is solstice and also the beginning of Cancer season. And I would love to wish all of my beautiful crabs out there a very happy birthday, Cancers. We just adore you for your responsiveness, for your ability to pick up on the emotional and energetic cues that most others miss, for your incredible ability to nurture, for the way that your love can heal, can renew, can inspire, for the beautiful ways that you pour into the animals that you love and the plants that you love and the people that you love, the way that you honor all of the different seasons of life and really allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to deeply feel into each moment as it happens. And I hope that you have the most beautiful birthday season, and I hope that you are excited about Jupiter entering your sign. Be sure to check out the Jupiter and Cancer All Signs video, because Cancer placements at some point in time will have a Jupiter conjunction, which tends to be a time of coming out of your shell, saying yes to life, being open to new things, going on new adventures. So curious what new adventures our Cancers will be setting off on. And outside of celebrating the Cancers within our life birthday, what can we expect from Cancer season? As I highlighted, allowing the fluctuations, the waxes and wanes, the ebbs and flows. There could be more nostalgia. You yourself may be looking at old journals and contemplating, who is this poem about and what was the work situation that had me this down bad, or what have you. You absolutely could be more nostalgic, looking at old photographs, reading old journals, but it also could be applying this lens of nostalgia on your current reality around savoring, snapshotting it as though it was like a moment in a time capsule, remembering this will be something that this will be something that I remember one day. How can I savor it? How can I be fully here? How can I feel into it? That's something I really admire about Cancer placements, is that they really are in each situation that they are in. They feel into it. They allow themselves to absorb it. You may be asked to do the same this Cancer season, even with the fluctuations and the ups and downs. It's not just emotions that are fluctuating. It's important to honor that. It's also the fluctuations of our energy. Cancer is, of course, associated with the moon. So honoring how at some moments we feel very inspired and very creative, and at some moments we want to rest. And it's honoring our fluctuations, not judging it, not letting the Mars in Virgo judge you too much. If you need to rest, if you need a moment to lie in a dark room, okay, no one's saying that you should not take care of yourself. If you have a headache, I most certainly did, but at a certain point, seeing what it is that you could do to rectify the situation. But if you need to baby yourself a little bit around, okay, you've got a headache, or you're feeling a little tired, or you're feeling a little drained, it's honoring that. It's nurturing that. It's also honoring your intuition. You know, the moon comes out at night. It's very mysterious. We know a lot, and we don't always know why we know what we know. So where are you allowing yourself to be guided by what feels mystical, what feels mysterious, is also an ask this Cancer season. And the Aries moon, as I stated, will square off with Mercury early Friday. So this could be a battle around your instincts, or what knee-jerk you want to do and what makes sense. Or there can also be certain things that you say heat of the moment, rather emotionally. Like I said, with Jupiter square Neptune, there really is something around let things settle. Don't feel like you have to make a decision right away. Don't feel like you have to have a fully formed opinion right away. Let things form, let things settle. The moon aligns with Chiron midday, so you could be feeling a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more triggered. The moon then sextiles the Gemini sun as the sun enters Cancer in the evening time. So the final hurrah of Gemini season is the sextile to the Aries moon. So it's honoring that we're all here in life school, all learning and growing, and some lessons are a little humbling. Humbling for the ego. Growth that's good for the soul could be humbling for the ego, that's for sure. Then one after the other, the moon enters Taurus just before 7 p.m. and the sun enters Cancer at 7:42 p.m. So now we've got an exalted moon, and what the moon's up to from here on out is of the utmost importance now that we're in Cancer season. I mean, I always love the moon. Always love the moon. That's why I have 3 moons on my setup. That was an accident, but regardless, we love the moon, but we especially love the moon during Cancer season. And the moon's exalted. So we could be really inclined to want to nurture, to want to ground, to want to dial into what in our life is beautiful and pleasing to the senses. That could show up within your physical abode, your physical environment. Cancer governs homes. Hence why in the vibe check this week, we're cleaning. We're doing a deep clean because it really does impact our energy. Again, sometimes it shows up around my home is cluttered and there's stuff everywhere and my mind feels cluttered and my email inbox feels cluttered. Everything feels cluttered. But let's say you feel stale. You're like, I want change. Like I feel bored. I feel stuck. Rearrange some furniture around your home. Whenever I feel like work stuff is slow or I'm not as inspired, I like rearrange my office. And that doesn't always mean like necessarily changing all the furniture and changing all the shelves and whatnot, but even just reorganizing my desk or reorganizing my bins or things like that can be just the vibe shift that generates and allows new energy to flow in. It's energy. Honor how much of this experience is energy, which cannot be seen, but it's felt. And Cancer season wants you to honor what you feel. And so Friday night's astrology is giving cozy at home. It just is. Cancer sun, Taurus moon, it's giving cozy at home. But it does feel like you might get like a burst of energy. The Taurus moon trines Mars, and it might be a really lovely cozy night at home. We have the Taurus moon sextile Jupiter. And if you are going out in the outer world, you might be eating delicious foods or spending time with people that you really hold dear, hold sacred. On Saturday, June 21st, the moon does square Pluto around midnight. So you could have felt shades of that build on Friday. A little intense, maybe a little hangry, a little crabby, or maybe even just so deeply craving reassurance and security and feeling like that is not available either because of just it's the unknown or because of powers that be. There could be certain things that feel out of your control and feel that they are threatening your security at this time being. But the Taurus moon and Cancer sun asks you to nurture the now, ground down into the now, and be open for moments of beauty, moments of kindness, moments of enjoyment, moments of pleasure even. The Taurus moon will align with Venus in Taurus that evening. So be around nature, be around people that you love, be in beauty. Like these all could be very helpful for nurturing and just the believing in the sweetness of life. You know, the moon squaring Pluto could be very dialed into the ugliness of life, which is of course alive, but with moon Venus, it's not allowing that to overpower the sweet moments of cuddling with your cat, Professor Whiskers, and the satisfaction of when you finish cleaning and you light a candle and you get to bask in how lovely everything feels, or the satisfaction when you've detangled your necklaces and you get to wear your necklace that feels beautiful and you just feel more sparkly every time you wear it. Just those little moments of loveliness are important to savor and bask in. On Sunday, June 22nd, you may feel a burst of energy or a little bit more can do. Again, we got to honor the fluctuations because sometimes we hit a wall. Sun also squares Saturn today. Sometimes we hit a wall and it's important not to think, okay, this defeat, that's it for me. It's just honoring, okay, this is a moment in time and things will flow again. I will feel energized again. And it's also honoring because these happen at the same time. Mars sextile Jupiter, which is I'm feeling energized. I'm feeling inclined to tackle projects around the home. Mars in Virgo sextile Jupiter in Cancer. I'm feeling inclined to solve this annoying issue with my business that I've been putting off. I randomly feel inspired to do the dishes, whatever that may be. Mars sextile Jupiter, follow the flow of energy of tackling some of the unglamorous but deeply necessary parts of maintaining being a human being. Also, with Sun square Saturn, acknowledge what feels like resistance, or where you feel like it's a no, or where it feels hard. And I want to be so clear with this. And actually, Julie and I were talking about this the other day. Julie is one of my amazing students within self-care astrology. And we were talking about the difference between resistance and flow, where even when you're in flow with the universe, it's like, I feel inspired, I'm going to clean my home. It's not to say every part of it is going to be easy. You're going to hit snags. You're going to need a break. You're going to need to eat, right? It's not to say that it's going to be easy and seamless, because what would be the point of being a human being if everything was easy? Like, challenges are where we grow, but doesn't make them any less hard. There's a difference between like a challenge, but still feeling in flow with the universe, versus resistance. I had two options for my summer. They were very different. Like, my life would have looked very different had I gone with the other option. The option that I chose was redoing the set and getting equipment. And I feel really good about this option that I plugged into. I knew that this was the right allocation of my energy because there was flow here. It's like every time I tried to put energy towards the other option for my summer, I hit snag after snag after snag. It was like everything was 20 times harder than it should have been. Like, nothing flowed, nothing made sense. It felt like a drag getting my energy to work on this. I was like, okay, clearly the energy's off. The vibe's off here. Like I said, Cancer season, we gotta honor the vibe. And even though it's a cool idea and I hope I do it one day, it just wasn't right. At least not now. Like, sometimes Sun square Saturn's just like, not now. There's a delay. There's some sort of limitation. There's a no. There's a rejection, but it's a temporary thing. It's like a temporary restriction. It's a temporary rejection. It's a temporary delay, whatever that may be. But I had so much resistance exploring that path. So I was like, all right, universe. Okay, fine. You win. Okay. And it's not that designing this was not challenging, because lots of it challenged me, but it was like, there was so much flow on this path where, yes, I was overcoming obstacles and I was figuring things out, but there was this overall sense of things making sense, or lining up, or magical things aligning in order to support me. And so that's how I knew that this was the right allocation of my energy, because there was flow here, and there it was like just rejection and no and delay and challenge after challenge. And it's honoring that, especially with both these aspects happening on the same day, on Sunday. Like, maybe you had a vision or a plan where you were going to work on your business today and you're going to get this done, but then the Wi-Fi is down, you're having all of these challenges, but then you feel randomly inspired where you're like, gosh, I really ought to handle this home project, or I should do this. Don't force what's not fitting or what's not flowing around. Well, no, gotta work today. I said I would work today. Wasting all of this time and energy trying to make something fit where it just doesn't fit, where it's like, this is flowing. For some reason, I'm inspired to organize my bookshelf. For some reason, I'm inspired to go through my belongings. Like, it's following what's flowing. Well, it's just knowing, Sun square Saturn can sometimes be like ego punches, just like, oof, ouch, rejection, no, delay, something like this. And knowing that it won't always feel like it does today. Things are constantly in flux. So it's honoring that. And again, even if there was something that was hard for the ego, with Mars sextile Jupiter, either what can I learn from this, or what's one thing I could do to do better next time or improve from the situation. You also could be very critical of your art at this time when Sun square Saturn, feeling like everything that you create is just the worst. I swear that's part of being an artist or being a creative altogether. There are so many Magic Mondays, like so many, that I'm like, that was the worst Magic Monday of all time. That was the worst. And part of me wants to like delete it all right at that particular moment. But sometimes when you let things settle, like I said, Jupiter square Neptune, sometimes you got to let things settle. When I let things settle and I pull it up to start editing and going through and be like, is any of this salvageable? Did I make any sense at all? Did one of these 27 analogies hit? Please, for the love of God. And then I go through it and I'm like, okay, I was clearly in a very critical state of mind when viewing this. Are there things I could be doing better? Absolutely. With Mars and Virgo, we all have arenas that we can improve and refine and dial in. It's like seeking to always do better. But with Sun square Saturn, doesn't mean that it's horrible. Right? And there's been so many episodes that I remember filming and being like, oh, this is the worst. And then I'll get like a comment from one of you around, this was one of my favorite episodes, or like, this piece really spoke to me, or this vibe check spoke to me. And I'm like, okay, thank goodness I didn't allow that inner critic to keep this from seeing the light of day, right? Because sometimes when we're in that space where it needs to be perfect, we forget to be teachable and to be open. Perfection is the enemy of good. And so sometimes you just need to allow something to be good and not listen to the voice around it's not perfect, especially as it relates to like your creativity altogether with Sun square Saturn. And on Sunday, the moon's in Taurus for most of the day. The Taurus moon sextiles Mercury in Cancer at 10:44 a.m. and aligns with Uranus at 6:50 p.m. So you could be surprised where your day goes. Again, it's like having a certain vision around, I'm going to do this, but this actually flows better. This actually feels better. And that could show up around cravings with Taurus moon on Uranus. You might have bought all these groceries to make a particular meal, and then you're like, what if I make empanadas instead? Or something like this, like a random craving, a random desire, a random project that you get into, a random old journal that you find with Taurus moon sextile Mercury in Cancer. And then the moon enters Gemini at 7:57 p.m., which draws our awareness to our curiosity, to our connectivity. And the Gemini moon will sextile Saturn and Neptune in Aries that evening. So something that you could do in the evening time to kind of like brain dump, putting all your thoughts into a journal or having a conversation with someone that you hold dear, just so you're not up at night, just all of these thoughts racing or something like this. Helpful to kind of like release that, or at least have a very solid nighttime routine in order to soothe your mind as well as cleanse your aura, right? That's like the first thing that I do every day when I meditate is I call back any of my energy that's out lingering in the world. I return any energy that I am carrying. And at the end of the day, I do the same thing as well. I think energetic maintenance is very important, and it can help to clear your mind with this busy Gemini moon. So my loves, that is our week. We made it through, headache and all. Shout out to my juice. Let me know what your trusty beverage is this week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week, written to support you and whatever your week may have in store, is I honor my fluctuations. You are not a machine. Jupiter in Cancer wants you to remind yourself that you are not a machine. And it's knowing that because you are not a machine, you have needs, you have fluctuations, you have times that you feel more energized and inspired and creative. Grab hold of that, activate that, move in that direction. But you also have moments that you feel drained, you feel exhausted, you have a headache, you got to lie down for a little bit, you got to eat something yummy and grab a blanket and relax. Like, honor those fluctuations. It's just not living in the extreme of either. Because sometimes when we're go, that's when we burn out and we can do absolutely nothing at all. Or when we feel so overwhelmed by even doing one thing that we do nothing at all. Where can you honor the fluctuations? Where even if it's something small, what's one thing that you could do to set yourself up in a positive direction? Where can you hold yourself with tenderness, with care, not judging yourself? If you're feeling more emotional today, if you're feeling more drained today, if you're feeling a little bit more introverted today, honor that. Just listen to your fluctuations. Listen to what your body is telling you. Listen to what your soul is telling you. There's so much of this experience that is not quantified. You are not a machine that is wired to do the same thing at every single moment. You are constantly in flux. And so this week's astrology asks you to really honor all of your waxes and wanes, whatever they may be. So my loves, that is our week. I'll see you again, same time, same place on YouTube or wherever it is that you get podcasts. Reminder, it would mean the entire world to me if you would take a moment to rate and review the pod. It helps so much. But until we meet again, stay magical.